There are many dangers in Skyrim: dragons, dragar, bandits, and beasts. But among all the peril that fills the snowy peaks and dense forests, there exists something more quietly haunting: isolation. Hidden deep in the wilds of the Falkreath Hold, not far from Riverwood, stands a small, unassuming shack. Smoke curls lazily from its chimney, a sign of life in a world where such signs are rare. Inside, a single woman lives alone, tending her home, her herbs, and her secrets. Her name is Anise, and she may well be the most outcast person in all of Skyrim. At first glance, Anise appears to be a kindly old woman, a Raloose who prefers solitude and nature to the chaos of city life. But as with so many things in Skyrim, appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the floorboards of her humble home lies a hidden trapdoor leading to a dark, secret cellar, filled with alchemical tools, spell tomes, and ominous notes. To some, Anise is a witch, to others a hermit. To the player, she is a curiosity, an enigma wrapped in quiet tragedy. And to Skyrim itself, she is a reflection of what happens to those who are cast out by both society and magic. Anise's cabin lies on the road between Riverwood and Helgen, a place players pass by early in their journey, often before they even reach Whiterun. Most adventurers overlook her entirely, or worse, kill her without a second thought. If you enter her home without permission, Anise turns hostile. Her warnings, though simple, reveal much about her character. "Get out of my home, you're not welcome here." It's a small line, but one filled with defensive fear. The fear of a woman who has been forced to survive alone in a hostile world. Unlike witches or necromancers found in remote covens, Anise doesn't have allies. She doesn't worship Daedra, lead rituals, or attack travelers. She simply exists, quietly, vulnerable, and alone. Her cabin is not a den of evil, but a home that's been warped by suspicion. And the moment the player crosses her threshold, she lashes out, not out of malice, but out of self-preservation. Anise's existence is a portrait of how Skyrim treats those who don't fit neatly into its rigid definitions of society, morality, and power. Witches in Skyrim are feared, hated, and hunted. They exist on the fringes of civilization, associated with necromancy, alchemy, and corruption. Yet the world depends on the very arts they practice. Anise's home shows her to be skilled in alchemy and magic, crafts that most Nords distrust deeply. The Nords' fear of magic is woven into their culture. Mages are seen as dangerous meddlers, not scholars. In this world, a woman like Anise could never live openly. Her talents make her valuable, but her identity makes her a target. Her hidden cellar confirms this. Beneath the cabin, she keeps potions, ingredients, and a note that reads like both a confession and a defense. In it, she speaks of protecting herself and keeping her secrets safe. It's clear that she's not plotting conquest or self-destruction. She's hiding, afraid of what others will do if they find out who she truly is. This fear turns her home into a fortress, her kindness into caution, and her life into exile. When the player discovers the trapdoor under her table, a hidden story unfolds. The cellar is small, but filled with the remnants of a life once rich with knowledge. Potions bubble on the alchemy table, scrolls and spell tomes line the shelves. A necromancer's robe hangs beside a bedroll, evidence that she may have once belonged to one of Skyrim's many outcast magical sects. The note found here, titled Anise's Letter, reveals more. "Remember nothing but truth. I am still your mother, don't forget me. I will watch over you as always." These few lines are among the most tragic in Skyrim. They suggest that Anise once had a family, perhaps a daughter who left her or was taken from her because of her craft. The letter's tone is not of vengeance, but of grief. It paints Anise not as a villain, but as a broken woman holding onto the last remnants of her humanity. She hides her knowledge because she knows what it has cost her. Her magic, her solitude, and her secrets are all part of the same wound. The mark of an outcast who has been punished simply for being different. Anise's tragedy lies in her position between worlds. She is neither a full necromancer nor a simple peasant. She is not part of the College of Winterhold, nor the covens of Hag's End or Orphan Rock. She stands alone, a person who has embraced knowledge but been exiled for it. In Skyrim, those who wield magic live under constant scrutiny. The College of Winterhold, though open to all, is treated with suspicion, even by those it protects. The rest of Skyrim's population largely associates magic with danger, from conjurers who summon Daedra to mages who burned down Winterhold itself. Anise is caught in this prejudice. She represents the countless unnamed mages and alchemists who are driven from their homes after being branded as witches or necromancers. Her existence on the outskirts of Riverwood, so close to civilization, yet so far from acceptance, mirrors the tension between progress and superstition in Skyrim's culture. She is a bridge that no one wants to cross. The world is cold, cruel, and crawling with predators. For Anise, isolation is both her punishment and her protection. Her home's design reflects her state of mind. It's small and tidy, but not overly defensive. Food and ingredients are neatly stored, yet the cellar below tells of paranoia and secrecy. The note to Helgi suggests she is haunted by loss. Her hostility towards strangers shows deep distrust. These are not traits of a villain, they are the symptoms of trauma. In psychological terms, Anise's behaviour resembles that of someone suffering from exile and abandonment. She clings to what remains of her identity, her magic, her home, her memories, and defends them violently when threatened. The player's arrival, whether peaceful or intrusive, disrupts the fragile balance she's created. Her attack on the player is not random aggression, it's a desperate attempt to maintain control over the only world she has left. Few NPCs in Skyrim provoke as much ethical reflection as Anise does. If the player kills her, her home becomes a convenient early game base. A free alchemy lab, a safe bed, a supply of potions and herbs. Many players justify the act because she turns hostile. Yet when viewed in context, her aggression is tragic, not malicious. She is defending her sanctuary from trespassers, an act that any other NPC would be praised for. This raises a larger question about Skyrim's moral landscape. Who decides who is good or evil in a land where survival often demands cruelty? The game rarely punishes the player for killing her, but the emotional weight lingers for those who look closer. Anise's story forces players to confront the grey morality that defines Skyrim. She is not a quest giver, not really a villain, and not really an ally. She exists outside the game's moral framework, just as she exists outside of society. The most controversial element of Anise's character is her association with necromancy. The evidence in her cellar, robes, spell tomes, and notes suggests she once practiced the forbidden art. Yet nowhere does the game confirm that she currently does. It's entirely possible that she abandoned it, or practiced it for only self-defense. Necromancy in Skyrim is deeply stigmatized, yet those who practice it often do so out of desperation. In a world where death is constant, the ability to control it offers a sense of power and safety. If Anise ever turned to necromancy, it may not have been for evil, it may have been a way to cope with loss. Perhaps even reach out to her daughter again. In this sense, Anise represents the human side of necromancy, not the horror of underneath, but the longing to reverse the irreversible. When Anise dies, as she almost inevitably does, her home remains frozen in time. The fire still burns, the cauldron still bubbles, her letter still lies on the table, its words forever unanswered. But her story continues in the minds of those who remember her. Players who return to her cabin later in their journey often find it strangely haunting. The warmth that once filled it is gone. The silence feels heavier, as though the forest itself mourns her passing. In this way, Anise becomes a ghost long before she dies, a spirit bound not by magic but by memory. Her existence changes the way we see Skyrim. It reminds us that behind every dungeon, every ruin, and every cabin, there is a human story, one that deserves to be heard, even if it ends in solitude. Anise's life may have been small, but it captures something vast about Skyrim itself. In a land defined by strength and heroism, she is weak, hidden, and forgotten. Yet her struggle is real, the fight to exist in a world that rejects you. Her story doesn't end with glory or redemption. It ends the way most stories in Skyrim do, quietly, beneath the pines, with no one to witness it except the person who killed you. And perhaps that is why she lingers so strongly in players' memories. Because in a game full of dragons and destiny, it's the lonely cabin in the woods that feels the most human.